It was a quiet day on Earth. People went about their usual business, unaware of the massive events that were unfolding beyond their world. For years, humanity had been reaching out into space. They had built colonies on Mars, launched probes to the farthest reaches of the solar system, and even sent astronauts to the moon again. But all of this exploration, all of their achievements, had not prepared them for what was coming. The human race had no idea that their peaceful existence was about to be shattered. Far beyond the solar system, a vast galaxy-spanning empire had taken notice of Earth. This empire, made up of powerful alien races, had been watching humanity's rise. And they didn't like what they saw. Unknown to the people of Earth, a message had been sent, a warning. It was intercepted by the Earth government, hidden deep in a top-secret military facility. The message was clear: the humans are becoming too powerful. They must be stopped before they spread beyond their own world. The galaxy cannot allow such a race to exist. At first, the government dismissed the message. After all, Earth was still so small in the grand scale of the galaxy. They hadn't even begun to explore the neighboring star systems yet. It seemed impossible that anyone would take notice of them. They were just a small planet, after all. But there were whispers among the military. Some believed the threat was real. Others thought it was just a hoax. However, the military's top officials took the warning seriously and decided to investigate further. Their worst fears were confirmed when they found signs of something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. In the cold void of space, a fleet of enormous alien ships silently approached Earth's solar system. These ships were like nothing humanity had ever seen. They were massive, and their technology was far beyond anything the humans could dream of. The ships moved with purpose, heading straight for Earth. The people of Earth still had no idea. There were no signs. No warnings. Just a strange feeling in the air. It was as if the entire planet was holding its breath. Then, one day, it happened. The ships appeared in Earth's sky. At first, they were barely visible, like tiny dots in the distance. But as the hours passed, they grew larger and larger. They were not here for peace. The alien fleet's intentions were clear: they had come to wipe out Earth before humanity could spread beyond their home planet. The world's leaders scrambled to respond. Military forces were put on high alert. But it was too late. The alien ships unleashed a wave of energy so powerful that it disabled the Earth's satellites in an instant. Communication was cut off. The world was plunged into chaos. Humanity tried to fight back. They sent their best weapons into the sky, hoping to stop the alien ships. But nothing they had could even scratch the surface of the alien fleet's defenses. Every missile, every laser fired by the humans was effortlessly destroyed. As the alien ships continued to circle the Earth, the people began to panic. The government sent out emergency broadcasts, telling people to remain calm, but it was clear that humanity was outmatched. No one knew what to do. The alien forces were too powerful. The humans had no chance. But in the midst of all the fear and confusion, something unexpected happened. A small group of brilliant scientists and engineers on Earth's moon made an incredible discovery. Hidden deep beneath the surface of the moon, they found strange, alien technology. It was like nothing they had ever seen before. Could this be the key to saving Earth? But time was running out. The alien ships were drawing closer, preparing for their final strike. The fate of humanity was uncertain. Would Earth stand a chance against this unstoppable force? Or would they be crushed before they even had a chance to fight back? As the first alien ships began to land, the human race realized they were facing a fight for survival, a fight they might not win. But one thing was certain: the unseen threat had arrived. And it was unlike anything they had ever imagined. The people of Earth could no longer ignore the terrifying presence in their skies. The alien fleet, which had once been distant and barely visible, was now unmistakably close. Massive ships hovered over major cities, blocking out the sun. Their sleek, metallic surfaces shimmered, and their size was impossible to comprehend. They seemed to defy the laws of physics, floating effortlessly, with no visible means of propulsion. Earth's military forces were in full mobilization. Fighter jets and defense systems fired in desperation, trying to pierce the unyielding force field of the alien ships. But it was useless. Every missile, every laser, was absorbed by the shields without so much as a scratch. The humans were fighting with sticks and stones against giants made of steel. For days, the aliens did nothing. They didn't fire a single shot, but they didn't need to. The very presence of their fleet was enough to paralyze the planet. Panic spread. Cities went into lockdown. Governments struggled to maintain order as rumors swirled about what was really happening. No one knew why they had come, but everyone understood one thing: the aliens were not here to be friends. In the midst of this chaos, humanity's best minds, scientists, engineers, and military leaders, gathered in secret. They knew that the only way to survive was to find a weakness in the alien technology. But no one had any answers. They were facing an enemy that was decades, maybe centuries, ahead of them in technology. The situation looked grim, but there was still one glimmer of hope. One man, a brilliant but reclusive engineer named Dr. Alan Brooks, had a theory. He believed the key to defeating the aliens was hidden within their own technology. The aliens had been monitoring humanity for years, studying Earth's technology. It was possible, Brooks reasoned, that the aliens had made a mistake. Perhaps they had underestimated human ingenuity. In the middle of the night, Brooks and his small team of scientists were given permission to investigate a piece of alien wreckage that had crash-landed in the remote wilderness. It wasn't much, just a piece of metal, but it was the first sign that the humans might have a chance. As they studied the wreckage, they discovered something extraordinary: the alien ships had a strange energy core. Unlike anything seen before, it was a highly concentrated form of energy that seemed to draw power from the very fabric of space. Brooks realized that if they could replicate this technology, they might be able to turn the tables on the aliens. But the clock was ticking. The aliens weren't waiting. They had already begun to make their move. On the third day of their invasion, the alien ships unleashed their first attack. It wasn't just a show of power, it was a message. The ships sent out beams of energy that rained down on Earth, obliterating entire cities in seconds. The destruction was catastrophic. Millions of lives were lost in an instant. The alien fleet was demonstrating its overwhelming superiority. In a desperate attempt to defend themselves, Earth's forces launched their most advanced weapon, a massive orbital cannon, designed to fire a concentrated beam of energy at targets in space. The cannon fired, and for a moment, it seemed like the humans might have a chance. But the shot was deflected by a barrier of energy, like a wall that had been built specifically to stop such attacks. Hope seemed to be fading. The alien fleet was too powerful, and Earth had no way of matching them. The military was on the verge of collapse. But Brooks wasn't giving up. He and his team worked day and night, tirelessly trying to reverse engineer the alien technology. They had to figure out how it worked, and fast. Then, just as it seemed all was lost, Brooks made a breakthrough. He discovered that the energy core at the heart of the alien ships was vulnerable. It wasn't indestructible, as they had thought. In fact, it had a weak point, a small opening that could be exploited. Armed with this new knowledge, Earth's forces launched a final, desperate counterattack. They gathered all the remaining military strength they could muster, including ships, fighters, and advanced weaponry. The humans weren't going to give up without a fight. They were ready to face their doom head-on. The battle that followed was nothing short of chaotic. As Earth's forces launched wave after wave of attacks, the alien ships retaliated with their advanced weaponry. The skies were filled with explosions, energy beams, and debris. The fate of the world hung in the balance. But the humans, armed with their new knowledge, had an advantage. The alien ships began to falter as Earth's forces exploited the weak points in their armor. It wasn't enough to defeat the invaders just yet, but it was a victory, a small one. And sometimes, that's all it takes to spark a revolution. As the battle raged on, Brooks watched from a distance, knowing that this was only the beginning. The aliens might have underestimated humanity's resolve. They had come to Earth thinking they could crush them in an instant. But the humans were showing them something they hadn't expected, the will to survive. And in that moment, Brooks knew one thing for certain: the humans weren't going to go down without a fight. The real battle had only just begun. The battle between Earth's remaining forces and the alien fleet was far from over, but something unexpected was happening. The tide of the war had begun to turn, even if it was only by a small margin. The aliens, who had once been so sure of their victory, were starting to show signs of uncertainty. Human ingenuity was proving to be a force they hadn't anticipated. The aliens had underestimated the power of human resilience. They thought that with their superior technology and overwhelming numbers, Earth would fall without a fight. But now, they were learning that humans were not so easily defeated. Every time the aliens thought they had gained the upper hand, the humans found a new way to strike back. On the ground, resistance movements began to grow. Cities that had once been destroyed were now being rebuilt, and human soldiers, though weary, fought with a fierce determination. They knew that if they gave up, it would mean the end of everything they had worked for. Every day, they trained harder, prepared better, and fought with a passion that burned brighter than ever before. But even as Earth's forces were gaining confidence, a new challenge arose. The alien fleet had not only brought destruction to Earth's cities, they had also sent in their most deadly soldiers. These warriors were not just ordinary soldiers. They were genetically engineered beings, bred for war, with enhanced strength, speed, and intelligence. They were the elite of the alien empire, and their mission was clear: crush the humans, no matter the cost. The first time these warriors hit the battlefield, they struck terror into the hearts of Earth's soldiers. With their incredible abilities, they wiped out entire units in a matter of minutes. They moved like shadows, faster than anything human eyes could track, and their weapons were unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Earth's soldiers had no choice but to retreat. The situation looked bleak. The alien warriors were too powerful, too deadly. It seemed as if there was no way to stop them. But then, in the midst of despair, something incredible happened. Dr. Alan Brooks and his team, working in secret, had made another breakthrough. After studying the alien soldiers' physiology, they discovered something shocking. These genetically enhanced warriors had one major flaw. They were incredibly strong, but they lacked one crucial ability: the capacity for adaptation. Unlike humans, who could think on their feet and come up with new solutions in the heat of battle, the aliens were predictable. Their strength and speed might make them formidable, but they were not invincible. Brooks and his team worked quickly, designing a new weapon, something that could match the alien warriors' incredible power. They created a series of advanced exoskeletons, powered by human-engineered tech, that could enhance a soldier's strength, speed, and reflexes to the same level as the alien soldiers. These suits weren't perfect, but they gave the humans a fighting chance. When the first group of soldiers wearing the new exoskeletons went into battle, the alien warriors were caught off guard. The humans moved with the same deadly precision as their enemies. The battle was no longer a one-sided massacre. The humans fought back, using their brains and their adaptability to outmaneuver the alien warriors. The clash between the two sides was brutal, but the humans were winning. As the battle continued, the humans gained ground. They fought with everything they had, and they never gave up. The alien warriors were powerful, but they were not invincible. With every fight, the humans learned more, adapting to the aliens' tactics and countering them with new strategies. Brooks watched from a command center, his heart racing as he saw the progress. It was clear that Earth's soldiers were starting to understand the true power of their own resilience. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore, they were fighting for something more: their freedom, their future, and their place in the galaxy. But the battle was far from over. While the humans were gaining confidence, the aliens were not about to back down. They had underestimated the strength of humanity before, but now they knew they were facing a formidable opponent. The war was escalating, and both sides were preparing for the next, decisive confrontation. The humans, armed with new technology and the will to fight, were ready to face whatever the aliens threw at them. They had shown the galaxy that they could not be crushed so easily. And for the first time, the aliens were starting to realize that Earth wasn't just a small, insignificant planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. As the tension between the two sides grew, Dr. Brooks couldn't help but wonder, was this just the beginning? Had they truly discovered everything the aliens had in store? Or was there something even darker lurking in the shadows, something that could push humanity to the very edge of extinction? The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear, the humans would never give up. They had already proven that against all odds, they could fight back. And now, the fate of Earth, and perhaps the galaxy, was in their hands. The war had reached a new level of intensity. Earth's military, once overwhelmed and desperate, had found a spark of hope. The aliens, still caught off guard by humanity's resilience, were now realizing that their initial underestimation of Earth had been their greatest mistake. But as the humans grew stronger, the alien forces began to shift strategies. They weren't going to let their empire fall so easily. A new, more terrifying phase of the invasion was about to begin. The first signs of the next move came in the form of a new wave of alien ships, larger, more heavily armed, and more advanced than any Earth had encountered before. The alien fleet had called for reinforcements, and what came was nothing short of a nightmare. These ships were built for total destruction, designed to crush entire fleets with ease. The humans' early victories had emboldened them, but the aliens were about to show them what true power looked like. In the shadows of their fleet, the alien leaders had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They had watched the humans closely, studying their tactics, their technology, and their newfound strength. Now, they were ready to deploy their most powerful weapon, a massive, planet-destroying superweapon that could wipe out Earth in an instant. As these new alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere, the humans knew they were facing a battle unlike any other. The new ships didn't just carry advanced weapons, they carried a deadly energy field capable of completely disabling Earth's defensive systems. With the humans' forces scattered and their communications broken, it seemed like nothing could stop the alien fleet. But Earth had one advantage that the aliens hadn't accounted for, the human spirit. Dr. Alan Brooks, who had played such a crucial role in humanity's survival, wasn't about to give up now. As the alien fleet approached, he and his team worked tirelessly to develop a countermeasure that could fight back against the energy field. They had learned from their past battles, and they knew that if they didn't act fast, Earth was finished. Brooks and his team discovered that the energy field wasn't invincible, it had one fatal flaw. The energy barrier was powered by a central core, and if that core was destroyed, the field would collapse. The problem, however, was that the core was located deep within the most heavily defended of the alien ships, the flagship. To get to it, the humans would need to infiltrate the alien fleet itself, a near impossible task. But the humans weren't alone. As they worked on their plan, other nations on Earth had begun to rally together, forming a united front against the invaders. It was clear that humanity's fight was not just about Earth, it was about their place in the galaxy. Together, they launched a bold new plan, to assault the alien flagship and destroy its core. The operation was risky, and the odds were stacked against them. The alien flagship was surrounded by a fleet of powerful warships, each one capable of annihilating entire fleets of human fighters. But the humans had no choice. If they didn't act, Earth would fall. In the dead of night, human ships, equipped with the newly developed technology and guided by Brooks' calculations, began their assault on the alien flagship. It was a chaotic, desperate attack. Waves of human fighters attacked the alien defenses, dodging laser blasts and energy pulses as they made their way toward the flagship. The battle raged for hours. The skies were filled with explosions, and the space around Earth looked like a scene from a nightmare. The alien ships fought with a ruthless efficiency, but the humans fought back with every ounce of strength they had. The war was no longer about survival, it was about victory. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a group of elite human soldiers, led by Captain Sarah Turner, infiltrated the alien flagship. They breached the outer defenses, making their way through the ship's corridors with one goal, to reach the central energy core. Along the way, they encountered fierce resistance, alien soldiers that seemed to be everywhere. But the humans pressed on, driven by a single thought: they had to win. When they finally reached the core, they found it protected by the aliens' most powerful defense systems. But it wasn't enough. The human soldiers, using the advanced technology they had acquired, broke through the defenses and planted explosives on the core. With a countdown ticking in their ears, they made their escape, racing against time as the alien flagship began to crumble around them. The explosion that followed was like nothing Earth had ever seen. The alien flagship was destroyed in an instant, sending shockwaves throughout the fleet. The energy field surrounding Earth collapsed, and the remaining alien ships lost their power. The humans had struck a decisive blow. But the war was not over. The destruction of the flagship had crippled the alien fleet, but their forces were not entirely defeated. However, with the core of their power shattered, the alien empire began to collapse. Their leaders, realizing that their once invincible fleet was no more, ordered a full retreat. For the first time in the war, the humans had won. Earth had stood its ground against a galactic force far more powerful than anything they had ever imagined. But victory had come at a great cost. Cities lay in ruins. Millions of lives had been lost. And the galaxy had been forever changed. The humans had proven themselves to be more than just a small, insignificant race. They had shown the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with, capable of standing up to even the most powerful empires. But the victory was bittersweet. As Earth began to rebuild, there was still a question hanging in the air: what would come next? The aliens had been defeated, but there were still many unanswered questions about the galaxy, and the mysterious forces that lurked beyond it. The battle for Earth might have been over, but the future of humanity was still uncertain. Would they continue to rise, or would the galaxy's ancient powers find a way to crush them once more? The war had taken its toll on Earth. Cities lay in ruins, and the streets were filled with the haunting echoes of lost lives. But despite the devastation, humanity stood victorious. The alien fleet had been crushed, their most powerful weapon destroyed, and their empire shattered. Earth was no longer the small, defenseless planet it once was. It had proven itself a worthy adversary to the greatest galactic forces. In the aftermath of the battle, the world's leaders gathered to rebuild what had been lost. Nations that had once been divided now stood united in a way they never had before. The aliens had taught them the importance of cooperation, and humanity realized that only by working together could they ensure their survival in this new era. Dr. Alan Brooks, the man whose inventions had turned the tide of the war, was hailed as a hero. But he wasn't interested in fame or recognition. He knew the true work had just begun. Earth's victory over the alien fleet had been a significant achievement, but it was only the beginning of a much larger journey. The humans now had access to advanced alien technology, and with it, they were ready to expand their reach beyond the solar system. As they began rebuilding their cities, they also set their sights on the stars, preparing for a future where they could not only defend themselves but also explore and colonize new worlds. But despite their triumph, the question lingered: had the alien forces truly been defeated? Earth's military was strong, but the galaxy was vast, and its secrets were still largely unknown. The humans had come face to face with the might of an empire, and though they had emerged victorious, they couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that there were still threats lurking in the shadows. In the months that followed the battle, human explorers, now equipped with alien technology, began to venture deeper into space. They discovered new planets, some of which were rich with resources and life, while others were barren and desolate. But every new discovery brought with it the realization that Earth was not alone in the universe, and that it wasn't just the alien empire they had to worry about. The first shock came when a fleet of unknown ships appeared on the edge of the solar system. Unlike the aliens they had fought, these ships didn't look menacing. They were sleek, elegant, and seemed almost peaceful. The ships didn't open fire. They didn't send any aggressive signals. They simply hovered, as if waiting for something. Humanity was unsure how to respond. Some believed these ships were more survivors from the alien empire, seeking to conquer Earth once again. Others thought they were a new species, one that had been watching the humans for some time. No one knew for sure, but one thing was certain: the mystery surrounding these ships was far from over. Brooks, ever the scientist, suggested a diplomatic approach. They had learned from their mistakes in the past. The humans couldn't afford to act out of fear. If they wanted to build a future among the stars, they needed to approach this situation with caution and respect. The idea of peace, of alliances with other species, had never been more important. The leaders of Earth decided to send a message of peace, and an invitation for dialogue. As the human fleet approached the unknown ships, tension filled the air. Would these visitors be friends, or would they be foes? It was a gamble, but it was one humanity had to take. For hours, nothing happened. The ships simply hovered, their intentions unclear. Then, just as hope seemed to be fading, a signal was sent from the alien ships, a simple, clear message in a language humans could understand. "We come in peace." The realization hit like a thunderclap. These ships weren't hostile. They weren't invaders. They were explorers, like humanity. And their message was clear: they had been watching Earth's recent conflict with the alien empire, and they were curious. The humans had done something the galaxy had never seen before: they had defeated an empire, one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. And now, the unknown ships were here to learn from them. This new species introduced themselves as the Vair, a peaceful race from a distant part of the galaxy. They had been aware of the alien empire's plans to invade Earth, but they had remained silent, waiting to see how humanity would respond. They were amazed by the humans' determination and ingenuity, and they sought to form an alliance. The Vair offered the humans the chance to join a galactic federation, a group of advanced civilizations that had existed for millennia, bound together by a shared desire for peace and exploration. The Vair were not conquerors. They were diplomats, scientists, and explorers. They believed that humanity had the potential to be a part of this greater community, but only if Earth could prove it was ready. And so, with the fall of the alien empire, humanity found itself at the threshold of a new era. They had defeated their enemies, rebuilt their world, and now stood poised to take their place among the stars. The galaxy, once an unknown and terrifying place, was now a land of possibilities. The humans had become something more than just survivors: they had become pioneers, ready to shape the future of the universe. As Brooks stood in the newly constructed council hall, looking out at the fleet of Vair ships waiting in Earth's orbit, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had not only survived, they had thrived. And now, the future was theirs to shape. But as the ships prepared to depart for the distant stars, Brooks couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The universe was vast, and who knew what dangers or wonders awaited them beyond the horizon. Whatever it was, humanity would face it, as they always had, with courage, determination, and the will to survive. The journey was only starting.